Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, the Grand Arena Focus podcast centered around the top 100 of Kyber 1 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am joined by most of the cast today. Dagger couldn't be with us, but we do have TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, a pleasure to be with you again here. We're live on Twitch and YouTube. We'll be taking questions from the audience later in the show, so if you got them, go ahead and drop them in the chat or hold them until later, but we'll attend to them later in the show. And yeah, guys, as far as my situation, if you're late to the party, I got put into an empty bracket last week. I've talked about it a couple times. So in brief, I had no rewards for every round. I got no rewards for the end of the week. I did get end of season rewards. And for the entire week, I was locked out of the arenas table. If I clicked it, it would kick me out of the game. I now can start climbing fleet again, so delighted. And yeah, still no peep from CG. I was asked to make a post on their forums. I made a post. It's 6 days later, and yeah, not a peep. So no fights for me. I had a good guest stream with the deadly French duo FC Dadadan and Dark Killer. That was a lot of fun. They were up against D-Rack, and they did not get it done that episode. But it was a very fun one nevertheless. How about you, TJ? How was your week?
Uh, it was good. And I guess are you going to do the overall season for you? Because I think that's a good
Oh,
comment for
yeah,
you.
season. Oh my God, I don't even remember. I'm so disconnected from everything. Let me take a look at that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I had what? Erodiums week 1, and then I had a clean sweep, real fights week 2, and then nothingness. Absolute abyss and nothingness week 3. All right, over to you, TJ.
Thanks. So I didn't learn well enough this season, so I'll take it. But I went 4-5, and then for the last week 1-2. But that was nothing on the season overall. I'd still rate the season as very positive. Me playing like shit doesn't get to account for the game. And I think overall it was a positive. But I know we'll talk more about that.
Fair enough. Appreciate it. Over to you, Sasha. How was your week? You got to have at least one real match?
I missed you, Tass. Just yeah, really did miss you. So I had a 3-0, but we only had 3 real players in my group, and the 2 Phantom Menace guys faced one another in round 1. So I had Nira in excuse me in round 2, and that was a fun match. Kind of uncharacteristically, I had to attack right when the board opened because I was traveling and had a bunch of stuff going on. So I did like virtually all my attacks in the first like hour and a half, and was able to get a W. So it seems like a really fun meta. I had a ton of fun the week before when you and I matched up. I enjoyed my match with Nira this week, but I wish I had more. It was 7-2. When you include the erodiums and the in this entire season.
Very good. Well, that was a good enough time. Over to you, Fatal. Last but never least, how was this final week? I know you've been enjoying this season, so what's the story? What's the final verdict?
I am finally, unfortunately, in Erodium land, so I did have one for the first match, and then ended up with a 1-1. I lost on time yesterday. It was like 90 seconds away from being a solid clear to win match, but yeah, just too many drop battles on ground that just ate up too much time, and that was pretty much that. But otherwise, it was a pretty cool week. I feel like I got to do a lot of kick-ass shit that I don't think many, if any, people were doing otherwise. Got to clown some teams and make them look kind of silly. I also don't really remember the season as a whole. Let me look. Oh. Well, if I didn't time out yesterday, I would have been pretty much undefeated. I lost the Vex for... okay, look. Unfortunately, if I am being honest with myself, the Wookiee... there is a correlation between matches in which I try Wookiees and my win rate. And unfortunately, it's not broadly a positive correlate. I mean, whatever. It was the first match of Clea being out, and how was I supposed to necessarily predict that Clea was just going to stop the Wookiees from ever taking a turn? But it is what it is. Yeah, maybe the Wookiees are not retired, but I just need to be a lot more thoughtful and careful before employing them, because the science has been more destructive than positive.
All right. Well, sounds like a good week then, Phil. Yeah, and a pretty close season overall. Yeah, it would have been nice to fight out that week because I had a whole bunch of things I wanted to try, and we just could not do any of it. All right, guys, let's dig into the season overview. Yeah, Sasha, I know you were hot to talk about it. Want to kick us off? Your feeling about the season overall, how you enjoyed it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I limited amount of real matches, but yeah, I'll say I enjoyed the intro, obviously, of the Andor characters, and I thought that squad. It just sort of seemed to serve the usual purpose of elevation through an FDC into like meta relevance, at least, which was fun, and I thought shaked stuff up. One aspect that I'll say, I found a little disappointing about the this season or meta was that without the Maul hate-fueled FTC, it seemed a little more challenging to get Stranger to hold up against Satele. And again, most of this, from my perspective, is about watching streamers like you guys when you have real matches, or looking at data. But I also just noticed it with the Phantom Menace guys. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But overall, I definitely enjoyed it. I think it's also going to be interesting to go into a new Datacron set now that is not as focused on defense, because we've been awash in defense for a while. And I actually really enjoy that. I think it brings viability, or at least the opportunity for some maybe timeout risk. It's not likely, but some timeout risk that otherwise isn't there without that as a stat. So that was another aspect that I enjoyed. But yeah, I mean, those are just a few of mine. I didn't have anything more expansive. But how about you, TJ? Thoughts on the season?
Yeah, I want to comment again. I played poorly because that's me playing poorly. But overall, I thought the season was a positive. I just wasn't taking it into the correct account. I know we'll talk about favorite attack and defense. I'll comment on the one that's going to be surprising, is the one that cost me my last round. It's like scarred into my brain as the Sasha with his my Tuscans versus his Phoenix now, and you'll both be surprised. We won't be able to see it because it's not there. Um, but a GL got blown out by a particular team. So we'll talk about it. But overall, like I said, I still think the season was a positive. Minus losing by 3 points from a 2090 to 2093. That's just unfortunate, as is on the screen with Tass. But again, that's me playing poorly last week. Nothing on the season. I rate it highly.
I mean, my comments in brief before I punt it over to Fatal is, yeah, week that I had real fights, just fun. A couple varied matches, and just really, really nice to be able to fight and execute, having so few real matches to play. That's it for me. Fatal, your thoughts?
I had fun with this season. This is not putting anyone in particular on blast, but it is just a broad truth. I still don't have a goddamn clue what anyone's doing. So for context, in this past week, I was at rank 30 or 35 or whatever. It was just if I win this week, I am hurtling myself into the Rhodium blob. And so I was trying to decide, do I actually want to do that or not? And I couldn't decide. So I said, I will let fate decide. And I posted a suicidal defense. I figured out the precise line of like, okay, if I fight a cowardly cheeser, then I will be fine. If they play Galaxy of Heroes remotely at all, I will be instantly fucked. And then proceeded to be completely fine both rounds because it was just like, what are we? Why am I getting off scot-free for doing effectively war crimes? It was just, I don't know. People are so afraid of their teams being beat that they are beating themselves by letting me get away with murder for just posting. I started out this season being afraid and being like, dude, there are so many defensive threats I have to cover for. Like, that was what I said on the first week. And by the end of week 3, it's like, and nobody's posting them. So I guess I just don't have to worry. Yippee wahoo. I'm like, my weakest team was Bounty Hunters. My second weakest team was ISB. My third weakest team was like Queen Amidala. It's just like,
Nice.
I should not be getting away with this. This should be the easiest punish of all time. But here we are. Okay. All right.
Yeah, everybody is accustomed, I think, to a more efficient meta, especially in threes. And yeah, it's been good. I've been seeing a lot of people eat Cheezer's lunch this season. So fair. All right. No other comments there about the season, guys. If not, then we will move into meta-analysis and favorite attack and defense of the week. So here I live vicariously through you guys. Meta-analysis first item here from Fatal is Darth Revan versus Cassian. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. I was, last week I talked about Malicos versus Cassian, and that felt pretty good. But then, on further introspection, it was just like, okay, this team has a lot of crit avoidance. Yes, Mission shares her crit chance. Mission has like 100% base crit chance. Darth Revan provides some free crit chance on top, but I can juice. She's sharing crit damage, offense, crit chance, so you don't really have to necessarily mod her for too much speed, but yeah, Darth Revan Zalbar Mission just absolutely cratered the Cassian fabled super team. Just not remotely close. I actually almost got a full 54 in one of them. I was like, maybe if my Zalbar was a bit faster, it would have been fine. You do have to play it specifically, right? Like, I specifically avoided using Zalbar AoE so I didn't hit the decoy to give them Terminator and offense. Like, I tiptoed around the mechanics, but at the end of the day, this is a team with no tank that just lets you do what you want. You are as fast as Sin, and even faster than that. So, like, they just sit there and let you do what you want. And I did fight a Vel poster who did a Cassian Vel Luthen. It's like, okay, so they're switching up, they're getting a little bit more proactive. Like, that's a taunt. It didn't matter. I still just completely mowed them. So I don't know, man. Look. My personal feeling on Cassian is, ironically, I kind of hate Cassian FDC because I think the squad itself is sick, but the FDC is kind of getting in the way of the actual theory crafting. But at the same time, I feel like the FDC probably does enough that I'm obligated to use it. So I'm kind of just in the FDC expiration waiting room so that I'm allowed to actually get in touch with the Rebel fighters' true potential, unadulterated, because I think the squad is cool as fuck. And I think there's a bright future there, but we got to get through. It's kind of like what happened with Balin, right? It's like, all right, there's some dirty work I want to do with Balin. We just had to get through the Balin cron. Now we have arrived. We'll see where it goes.
All right. Any other comments from you guys? Fighting Cassian this week? Anything noteworthy?
Actually, I did So this entire time I've been skeptical of Cassian lead. I will give an honorable shout out. I have been sticking with Saw, Clay Luthen, and had solid results the whole time. I did mess around with Cassian Velcinta. And is this going to be expired by next season? It might be expired by next season, but I used the Rebel Crit Avoidance Cron. And noticed
Is this on D or
yeah,
O? Fatal. This is on D.
This is on defense.
Oh, really?
And
wow. Okay, cool.
Did end up getting some holes that I don't know if it was just the crit avoidance level 6 was playing around with making it harder to kill Cassian or what may have happened, but yeah, that was a nice bang for your buck, pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, we will not have that Rebel Fighter crown for next 3 versus last hurrahs this upcoming season. Yeah, all right, fair. All right, no other noteworthy Cassian fights I'm about to skip over then. All right.
I did not see it.
I did not do it. This is purely hypothetical, but I will say that on the topic of Cassian, not FDC, I do think the fights that I did this season that I failed at, I did a offline VOD review of them, did some theory crafting. I think, well, unless Rada and Cobb fucks things up that the market just collapses, I do think I will be revisiting the stuff like the Jabba fight. I think there's a skill issue going on there. Again, this team's just cool. There's a lot to think about.
I'm sorry, for which team versus Jabba?
Cassian.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching you put that attempt in. It looked like it was going somewhere, and then they kind of stabilized, and it just didn't end up going anywhere that one time, right? But you think you've got it sorted out now.
Yeah. I firmly believe so. I mean, that entire time they didn't kill me as well. Like,
yeah, right. You did live. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yep, just got to solve for murder.
Yeah, I remember seeing in the data that it did well in 3s against Jabba as well on offense against a Jabba on D.
Was it with the FDC though?
Yes, you're right.
I am talking
cheat code. Yeah, non-cheat code.
All right. Appreciate that. Next one here from you, Fatal. Jedi Master Mace versus Balin, R.I.P. Tell us about the fated moment.
Yeah, no, this was again just kind of the last matches of the season, or I think it actually maybe either the last match or second to last match. Came to realize, wait, isn't Mace like actually pretty well positioned into Balin Kron? And I'm pretty sure the answer was yes, because I came extremely close to winning, but my Mace Windu team sucks because I have stripped them down in priority repeatedly, and their mods were just demonstrably not very good. And I had like both Balin and like a Stranger team or whatever both get down to like 10% remaining health. I was just like, finally I can say Mace was good enough for the job, and the fault was mine. That like I missed out. Mace was not the problem. It was me. So Balin Kron is obviously expired now, but kind of a teachable moment of like, yeah, man, look, just keep an eye out for similar like assist crons or stuff in the future. That might be an opportunity, especially now that like in this current period where we've got the GR crons and like the survivability level 6. I still think Mace could strongly benefit from more so. I mean, yeah, you can run the protection disruption, but I think the team's biggest problem is surviving. So we'll see where things go. I will have to poke at Mace in the near future again, see what's up.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other interesting fights involving Jedi Master Mace or Balin? Once, going twice. All right, let's talk next about a question from me, and I've got a crabby kid. It sounds like I'm going to have to attend to for a second while we discuss this. But yeah, early feedback on any of the Datacrons from this new set for old times. Did anybody bring us news from the front?
So it's a little indirect because I didn't get to face them and I didn't use it on offense. But Arsenal set a squad that I had been talking about that I was excited I had modded for, and had quite a few holds over the week. I think maybe 5 or 6 holds, and that was the Django Datacron, Django level 9. And I had it all kind of clocked out. I think Arsenal did something similar where it's Django, OG Mando, and Asajj Dark Disciple. I had mentioned, possibly, I think misspoke about it last week, but like the real trick to it is the level 9 on Django, which gives payouts. So it's not contract met, but it gives payouts. And it's an interesting distinction in that, so Django's contract is not deemed fulfilled for everybody, but each of those bounty hunters, including Django, get their own payout. His contract is not applied to the team yet, but still can be achieved. But the point being, with those payouts being activated right at the beginning, Asajj Dark Disciple has in her payout that all of her any allies that have Dark Disciple or have Disciple rather gain 100% turn meter. So, and she's giving Disciple to Bounty Hunter allies. So she's got suddenly OG Mando and Django with 100% turn meter, and OG Mando having his payout realized, which is his Annihilate if he has sufficient buffs. So the concept of it was, I thought that I didn't realize that Asajj Dark Disciple doesn't get her own Disciple modifier. Like, she's not considered a disciple. I guess it's intuitively should make sense. But so she doesn't get that 100% turn meter. Nonetheless, you give 100% turn meter to OG Mando. I think in this case, it was OG Mando was probably clocked to go like right after Django, but OG Mando's going and critting, which means like, he's, and when he crits, as long as his crit percent is up, he's generating 30% turn meter for himself. So he's going before the opponent goes. And even though he can't use his Annihilate because he doesn't have crit chance up or crit damage up, he's generating turn meter for himself, assuming he crits once. And then again, he's got 60% turn meter while the opponent is still sitting at 0. And at this point, he has the required buff to do Annihilate. So that combo for getting Annihilate out on an OG Mando before the opposing team goes seems really viable. I had modded my Mando, I think I may have mentioned this last week, but I had modded my Mando for just crazy defense. In fact, when I had last checked on .gg, I think my Mando had roughly like 5% higher physical defense than the next highest in the game, because I just figured that's going to be the primary target and the opponent's going to go for it. I don't know yet what my opponent used. My opponent did one-shot it, but like I said, Arsenal using that same combo, I think had 6 holds over the week. So that Django Cron is really an intriguing option. In 3s, it triggers quickly. In 5s, you can variety of different really interesting additions you can throw in there. Possibly like Forlom and Zuckus if you want, who obviously have some nice complementary aspects to their kits. So that was a fun one, Tass. And tried to go a little extra long-winded to give you time to deal with the little one, but hopefully you're back.
And he is not. So
All right. Okay.
I can add on.
Yeah, go fiddle, please.
I have I had a Bastila 9 OR, 75% damage reduction, 6, bulk 3 that I posted on defense this week. I will say, like, I think I got a hold of like a Queen Amidala or whatever. I specifically made concerted efforts to bait out Great Mothers and set the Eternal Emperor up front. Plus, a fairly heavy defense might have tried to draw C out anyway. Although looking at my match history, oh, no, I did bait it out. Okay, yeah. So I by hook or by crook, I guess I baited out Great Mothers into the Eternal Emperor, and I guess got my Satil got a hold as a result. Obviously, I don't think if there's a remote awareness of it, people will just adapt that. You're not going to get away with it necessarily as easily unless you're just trying to fork. But I guess now match history is starting to come out. By the way, is why I'm seeing this or realizing this. I got exactly 1 out of 2 matches, but yeah, it did. The trap kind of worked. Satil on defense got some action. Yeah.
Thoughts on Satil versus like a Bastila level 9 there, Fatal? What are your thoughts on that?
I think Bastila is a very good level 9.
And it sounds like that was like a comma there, not a period.
Nope, that was a period. I think Bastila is a very good level 9.
Okay.
I think Satil is what if Bastila was just kind of worse. Look, if Satil had the pre-taunt and Bastila did not, I would feel very differently. But Bastila's got the pre-taunt, and the pre-taunt is the majority of the power budget, so it's like, alright, the first time Satil loses all protection, she recovers 100. When's the last time that you saw your Satil lose all of her protection via damage? And then, we already covered the taunt. They both get it, so unless we're in a scenario where you care about the immunity to TM removal, and keep in mind that Bastila 9 gives you that jack tenacity, so it has to be unresistible TM removal. That's kind of niche. I'm not going to say it can never matter, but by default, whenever Satil attacks an enemy with protection, she removes 2% max protection, and all allies gain 5% max protection. I feel like Satil is doing just fine with the base amount. It's like, I would maybe eyeball this and the stacking protection level 6 if you just had like really bad base max protection rules on your Datacron, I guess.
But like that was my question, Fatal, or like where I saw a possible angle to it, in that translates effectively under Satil's leadership into just ramping damage over time, right? The true damage will ramp because that's based on Satil's max protection. And I feel like I've had a couple of fights, or at least one fight against a GL where sides go down pretty easily, and it can take a little longer to get the GL killed. And ramping damage from that true damage based on increased max protection over time might be nice. You don't think that's necessary, though, I take it. At least it's not nearly outweighing all the other benefits of the Bastila one you mentioned.
Yeah, the survivability she gives is excellent. The starting TM she gives is excellent. The tenacity is a lovely benefit. And, the damage reduction, or the damage increase, is not really relevant to GAC. Like, I believe it's just an offense gain. So, will not matter for your true damage. But, I mean, look, people always say, oh man, would it be crazy if there was a GAC mode where you had 2 leads? Look no further, my boy. You're living the dream. Slap that shit on.
Fair. Yeah, I wanted to say that I like the Satil Cron, particularly for the damage reduction, because for the most part, I'm not thinking about Bastila as my third in 3 versus 3. And then in 5s, it's just I feel like leaning into that damage reduction with the based on your turn meter is the best way to keep the team around long enough to get that one turn in and somebody explodes and you just follow the chain from there. Not taking away, though, anything from your Bastila explanation, because I do plan to have both.
Damage reduction is on the level 6. It is not on the Bastila 9. On the Satil 9.
I know. I like that with paired with the level 9,
wow.
it just feels like extra super durable, survivable. And like the only thing, as you pointed out, I don't really need a lot of help with offense with that team. The turn meter for the Basilicron is super, super nice. Uh, Otherwise, I just need to live long enough to mark, Star Killer, and nature takes its course. So, yeah, I'm definitely planning on having both. We'll see which one proves out here early in. When I had to step away for a second, did you guys happen to mention a turn order that you liked in 3 versus 3 with that Django team? Since all of them
Yeah,
will
I
have
talked a
bonus
little bit
turns.
about it in the
Yeah.
threes. The one wrinkle in their task that I mentioned is that while all payouts are activated and Asajj Dark Disciples payout gives 100% turn meter to anyone who has the disciple tag, she doesn't get it herself. So while she will use her assist, on defense, or at least the few examples that I saw in the wild of her on defense, she was using her mass assist as her opening move. She doesn't go first. The other bounty hunters go first. I ended up being like I had originally set my turn order assuming you want Asajj Dark Disciple to go first, call an assist, and right on the heel of that, you have Mando, who will have assisted, brought up the required buff, and be able to annihilate. He doesn't. He annihilates on his second turn, but what makes it a little less turn order sensitive is as long as he's got as long as he's able to crit, he's generating 30% bonus turn meter for himself. And that 30% is coming on top of after he's already been 100% ahead of the other squad. So his second turn should still beat their first turn.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. Yay. That sounds pretty monstrous. So he's going to have the buffs after he uses special on his first turn. I remember he gets the buffs when
He
he uses
does.
his basic.
Yeah, so he needs either, I think, crit chance up or crit damage up, and he gets one on his basic and the other on his special. So either way, he's good to go unless he's been dispelled between turns.
Makes sense. Appreciate that. And yeah, I guess we'll save that for the next video for what we're thinking about any related team comps and turn order for the 5 vs 5 bounty hunter team. But yeah, that's one I will be excited about for next time. Okay, so you guys finished up talking about bounty hunters, and then we're talking about Bastila versus Satil. Was there anything I missed there in between?
No,
I had thought about. Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
I just said we went for bounty hunters into Bastila.
Perfect.
Yeah. I had thought about setting I had a sortie cron, not out of any kind of expectation, but just really for shits and giggles to set sortie BB8 and T3M4.
Yeah.
I had set the turn meter up. I had jacked up my sorties offense. But in threes, for one, I was just with the Wampa cron around. I figure it's Wampa food, even though it's a good amount of damage generated. I don't think it's going to kill an R9 Wampa with an FDC on it. So I didn't set it, but I was curious. It also doesn't, approach the same ceiling of damage from sortie when you're missing a couple of other characters that are adding relic amplifier multiples to that sortie cron in threes versus fives. I
Yeah.
think it'll have a place ish on defense in fives. It's gimmicky. The gimmick can be undermined. I'm not saying it's not easily dismantled, but week one, maybe it surprises some people.
Yeah. Especially if you're going with like a high offense cron.
Yeah. I mean, crit damage, I think would be pretty nice. So,
Hmm.
but if you and I face in week one, I'm definitely not setting a test. So don't expect it.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just thinking about how much I'd like a high offense cron on Ray again because I keep her about
Yeah.
13.2k, so that would be kind of fun to have that pop off. All right.
Oof. Yeah.
Next couple items. Yeah, we have a few more teams that Fatal wrote down here. We've got General Syndulla lead. Let's hear about it.
I think I
I think you are breaking up.
I am breaking up. Am I still breaking up?
Nope, you're good now. Welcome back.
All right. I think I'm at the point now where I think I feel fairly confident in declaring that I think General Syndulla is better than Ahsoka Lead. That's not to say that Ahsoka Lead doesn't have angles, and I've had some solid success with Ahsoka Lead as well. General Syndulla Lead got me a Holdian's Leia this week.
Wow.
And, well, wait, did it... Let me double check my single match history. I believe it was Leia.
It was.
Oh, it was, and then it was C-Bane. How... Oh, it was a cleanup. Okay, so the C-Bane result doesn't matter. General Syndulla Lead, obviously. Kind of intended to shut down Grandmothers. I would assume broadly it succeeds at that job. I think it has the potential to make Leia RNG, and yet to be tested, extremely high investment. Don't even bother worrying about this. But I think a fair chance of that it might fuck with C-Bane as well on a time basis. Yeah. This is the sort of thing that I imagine CG might act on if they notice it and care about it, but I can't imagine they would be thrilled at the idea of the GLD not being good.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that's just Ahsoka as well, because I did have holds and saw holds here within the last week, patrons and others. Ahsoka, Ezra, Huyang, Ahsoka, Ezra, General Syndulla, causing, they get through everybody but the Ahsoka, and then they time out on the Ahsoka under Ahsoka Lead. So I wonder how much of that is just going to happen because it's Ahsoka, no matter who she's under. I wonder if you really do have something great there, yeah.
In this case, so there's multiple things going on. So I built a turn order so that General Syndulla goes before Leia, or it's a 50% chance that General Syndulla goes before Leia, so you can threaten opening Fracture on Drogon, which means he can't get put under stealth, which means you have the potential to beat the shit out of him. I don't know if that's what happened on my hold. I didn't get a confirmation on that, but that is at least the design. And then, on the topic of time against C-Bane, General Syndulla offers Ahsoka Tano 50% health and protection. Ahsoka Tano Lead does not offer her that. It is offered via her or via Ezra to people who get exiled. So your Ahsoka under General Syndulla Lead is actually 50% health and protection higher than your Ahsoka Tano under Ahsoka Tano Lead. So, yeah, it's interesting times to be sure. Dynamic times. I will say on some level, I do holistically like Ahsoka Tano Lead more just because it feels like I can tempt people into losing more often. Like, it feels like General Syndulla's threat is kind of open-faced. Or, like, I did get holds to baiting Grey Brothers this season, and that is fun in its own right. That could almost be argued as a higher utility. But in terms of sheer power, I think General Syndulla might be the better play. Noting again that if you want to try to fuck with C-Bane, we are rapidly talking about like R10 Ahsoka, really good Maz, really good Kron. It's like it would be an investment check, right? Like your investment level against their play speed. But a possibility all the same.
Okay. Yeah, question here.
Adding to that appeal, by the way, really quickly, is the ability to just turn around and use your Galactic Legend Ahsoka for 59 against like an EP DVDE team. Really clean in threes. That I set that same General Syndulla thing on D this week. General Syndulla with Ezra, and just pivoted to get in what I knew would be a pretty high efficiency match to take the 59 against EPDPD with Ahsoka, and that's remarkably.
Unfortunately, I was interested at the start of the season in Syndulla non-Ahsoka, but had livid Kimi and that. Yeah, it seems like a lot of permutations of General Syndulla just fall to Malgus, and yeah, it seems like a Malgus 58 against non-Ahsoka Tano will just win. So unfortunately, it seems like Ahsoka is kind of a necessary buffer to restrict teams that win to a kind of the same pool as normal, seemingly.
Well, somebody in the chat's asking, so if you would, clarify here, why is it that this lead you feel is also doing its job blocking out Night Sister?
Your Ezra gets 150 starting speed. This kills the mothers.
That's basically
You go first. You go murder them. The Great Mothers do not get to play the video game.
because you're used to your Exile Ezra not getting to benefit from turn meter gains at the start of the fight, which is where Night Sisters have an in a lot of the time. Not against just a straight up speed gain though. So yeah, I didn't try that. I know there's one viewer on YouTube that was really evangelizing running with General Syndulla lead, really pushing it over Ahsoka. And I said that, if I got the chance, I would try it. And I didn't see the vision. I also had decent results with Ahsoka lead, but I like this. I'd be interested in giving it a go.
I see it as Ahsoka lead is honey and General Syndulla lead is vinegar, and each has their purpose. The only reason, because I was perfectly content again to be honey and lure in the unsuspecting Great Mothers players, and that's extremely fun in its own right. But very few teams can actually achieve this status that if it becomes possible to make Leia RNG and to fuck with Seabane and to stop Great Mothers, there are not many teams that have achieved that status in this game's history. That is like a unicorn degree of matchup table swing. So I figured it beared exploring. Results still inconclusive, but very, very tantalizing.
Okay. Dig that. Let's take this next one here, guys. Bad Batch 2 versus Pirate King. So, still working this angle here in 3 versus 3. Let's hear about it.
So this is less something that happened this season and more so something to be reminded of for next 3v3. Right before Vaincron swung around, Tom Ford messaged me saying, "Hey, I actually tried your Bad Batch 2 stuff in 3v3 and it worked." And then I tried it in 3v3 and it worked. And it would appear that Bad Batch in 3v3 can work. And hey, wouldn't you know it, Vaincron is dead now. There was one weird, interesting thing that I will shout out, though, which is... so I watched a Bad Batch cleanup this past week. And the dodging was real bad on everybody. Not just on record, but, like, happening to Crosshair, too, that, like... This was one of the other spots where I was like, is this like a R10 Crosshair diff? Where, like, Pirate King Hondo, it wasn't R10 Pirate King Hondo, but his dodge gains, as I remember, are flat. It's not like R10 Pirate King Hondo gets more dodge, but maybe the lack of Arton on Crosshair just kind of puts you under the necessary accuracy line in time that, like, the match could run away from you. Either way, I just thought that was an interesting note because, yeah, I imagine unless Rada takes over in this slot, that's probably going to be Bad Batch's highest calling in the near future.
Fair. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still working on the right accuracy arrow for him. And when I have it, I think that'll be the moment that I'll slap a Relic 10 on him at the same time. All right, back to the list. Next one here, Ray Crex. Yeah, I saw you mulling this one over. Please share your thoughts on this.
Do we want the long version or the short version? I'm not trying to yap people's ears off.
Yeah, I mean, if you can condense it, because we still have a good bit of stuff to talk about and have the viewer questions. I don't want to keep you guys for 3 hours,
The short of it is, I did some theory crafting because the whole angle this season was, okay, GR 12% heal crown with Barris. How can I make it try to fuck with Queen Amidala? And I landed on Krex as a possible supplement and very quickly realized that Krex actually just had like really fascinating positioning against Queen Amidala in general. And so started to really explore down that line. The short of it is I never had a Queen Amidala attack me. So that part of the experiment failed. I have zero data. But I held to a bunch of Malikos players, so maybe that's something in itself. Yippee wahoo. But yeah, we'll still be exploring that. I think it sounds cool as shit. I actually gave Captain Rex R10 specifically for this line. We'll see how it works in future seasons as well. But 3v3 Queen Amidala might be on notice. I will also note, because I saw that there were some copycats, don't try this at home. This is like one of the highest investment undertakings I've ever done in terms of like my best defense sets and my best defense datacrons. I'm like, yeah, do not try this at home.
Fair enough.
But it does seem promising.
Yeah, I found that Ray Bolo Cal, light side bulk level 3 and very high defense, was able to jam up. I don't recall if any of them used Wampacron, but basically everything but Wampacron tanked. So I mean, it was nice to have another option. Rex angle. Why? I mean, so the frequent threat of the days is the main angle, and what's the relic 10 for?
The days, believe it or not, is actually the afterthought icing on the cake.
Okay.
Okay, so there's like 6 or 7 layers here. The degree to which Rex is like well positioned here is like absurd. I try to stick to the short of it. Feel free to cut me off at any given time.
Go ahead, and I can pick. This is good. This is what people want to hear. So let's have it. Sure.
Okay. So Vex fought my Barris in match 1. And it was just Raven, Barris. The Barris was built as a fuck you, but Queen Amidala, by hook or by crook, still got through. I was like, okay, there's some mod issues there, but like, you wouldn't think it, but in that type of scenario as well, like Queen has stacked up a bunch of damage over times potentially. Queen has damage like Expose, Master Qui-Gon, Dice, True damage. So I was like, okay, we are cutting Ben. He is bench solo. We need a third. First thought was Queen Amidala. Couple angles to like her. That unique, you can't lose turn meter, as well as the assists, the protection up, the healing. That was dope. She was almost the one, but then I looked at her stats and realized A, apparently Barris is absurdly tanky. B, Padme, decidedly very untanky. And so I just realistically, it was like, okay, if the Queen player switched from whacking on Barris to whacking Padme, she was not going to be long for the world. So that fell through. Looked at Cal. He was also very close, but his unique, I was worried about the buff immunity, like stopping him from getting the shielding. He would also be penetrable. That fell through. And then I looked at Captain Rex, and there are so stupidly many good things happening in this character's kit that I am kind of shocked. For starters, I'm just going to read this one sentence. Whenever a clone trooper or Phoenix ally is inflicted with a debuff, Rex gains 5% turn meter per debuff, and all allies recover 5% health and protection. Now, I'm not entirely able to remember Queen Amidala's kit, but in terms of the number of debuffs she applies, it's too goddamn many. And it heals all allies. So that was like, okay, that's pretty solid. But then we had the durability issue. It was like, okay, what if they decide to whack Captain Rex instead? Well, luckily he has plus 100% health from both of his uniques. And the other thing that I really kind of disrespect, or like didn't really pay much mind to in the past. So obviously when Captain Rex falls below 50% health, he's got the whole healing mini game. Get the 35% health and protection back. Can you kill me or can you not? I didn't really think about the fact that he stacks up 50% defense for 2 turns every time that happens. And so, whether they're just sitting there trying to wail on him, or if he was hypothetically a last man standing, this is a boy who will park himself at defense cap and just sit there and keep healing. And I think a Queen Amidala in a 3v3 capacity can be placed in checkmate by sheer virtue of what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then, to get even dumber, his abilities, like his first special, if this attack scores a critical hit, all allies recover 50% health and protection. His basic cleanses himself. As mentioned, yeah, his special does the daze and allied offense up, which offense up I don't think really matters at all, but the daze, I guess, could matter. But the reason why I gave him R10 is because his special and his basic need to crit. And R10 cancels itself out, yes. But Queen Amidala does not share her crit avoidance with her decoy. And so, this is one of the only circumstances I'm aware of where an R10 does not trade with an R10. I just keep that crit chance permanently. That decoy is going to be there. I'm not playing to beat you. I'm playing to time you out. And so, yeah, I still get to mod for stupidly high defense and health and a bit of protection, and I get 10% crit chance from R10, 25% crit chance from the unique. And that was just fascinating to me as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What is his base? His base is 61, so yeah, go straight up to 71, probably just over 72 with whatever gain you're getting from the relic as well. And then 25, you're pretty much where you want to be.
Yeah, it's and then I think the coup de grace, the very last thing that I'll say is I absolutely love that you know, Pow is your only real daze source on the team. And if you daze Barris, then Rex will go crazy. If you daze Crex, then Barris will go crazy. I think that's cinema. I think that's just a very, very active team. So, that's my cook. I still have no idea if it works because people keep using Queen Amidala in random places. It beat some Malicos teams. That's cool, I guess.
That is cool. Is this something where we're talking 4 health primaries? Defense sets?
3 defense sets, 4 health primaries, my absolute best defense mods. Well, that's more for Barris, I guess, but I mean, for both, right? Like, think of it this way. The less defense you had to start, the more times you would have to proc the unique to make it, so it's kind of the balancing act. I don't know. This is less a suggestion by me for other people to try this, and more so just saying that I think with the near perfect Datacron with the super high end mods, I think I can try to ego check Queen Amidala. I would really not recommend trying this at home. You will probably be disappointed if you try it anyway. Go with God, but don't be mad at me if it doesn't work.
Gotcha.
But Yeah, man, the interaction of Captain Rex with Queen Amidala is, I think, incredibly cool. Like, things just kept on interacting and lining up. That, yeah, dope.
Look forward to seeing that. Keep an eye out here in fives. So you'll be doing that again when we come back to 3v3.
In 3v3, yes. In 5v5, hell no. Kiadi Moody will beat this man with his bare hands.
Fair. All right. Fair. All right, next on your short list here, Bad Batch 2 versus DVD follow-up. Yeah, I saw you force the issue here. What about it?
We talked about this last week. Just a quick follow-up. I remodded for week 3, and the matchup went broadly fine. My record never died. Basically, I dropped all pretenses, took all of record speed away. For those of you who use hotutils and don't know, when you're manually modding a character, there are like stat sorting filters on the top right, and one of them is just effective total health, which is just calculates this mod will give you the highest effective health plus protection plus defense. It's not a perfect filter. Like, sometimes it'll get the ordering wrong, so you gotta keep an eye on that. But that is what I did with my record. I just said I want the fattest, most belligerent record possible. Slap that filter on, or not the filter, but slap those mods on. Went into the matchup, saved Omega heal for Wrecker as he dropped below for the first time. And yeah, it went okay. It felt pretty dang clean. I mean, my crosshair died for killing Emperor Palpatine, but Wrecker and Omega were just sitting there chilling, so getting him back to life was pretty dang cozy. It was the closest I've gotten to making that matchup feel as correct as it needed to be, so I will probably be playing that again next season if it's not Pirate King Hondo.
Fair. No, I liked watching that, so I appreciate the determination. It's elevated the position of Crosshair and Fugitive on my personal Relic 10 list. I am thinking about him sooner than later. All right.
Yeah,
Please, go ahead.
No, it's just... In my mind, I still feel like they're luxury unnecessary, but it is hard to ignore. Kind of like the Mace thing. It's like, at the time, they felt like hyper luxury, but it feels like use cases are cropping up where all of a sudden the investment actually maybe matter. And so, yeah, I'll just have to be mindful of that.
Very good. Last one here from you. Afra versus Jabba note. What you got on that?
So I'm not the biggest Afra versus Jabba expert by any means. I am probably the least expert, but I was in need, and I was trying to look at the matchup. And again, Livid pointed out the whole, we were looking at the whole Datacron situation. Obviously, Scoundrel has expired now, but kind of fully expecting that the Darkside TM, like the TM6 was correct. But on top of that, just noted the clause of IG-90, when he lands a critical hit, your team gets speed up. And I leaned into that for this week and gave him enough crit chance, which fortunately, honestly, the guy is sturdy enough anyway that, yeah, you sacrifice, but the boy will be fine. He is going to be the last guy standing on their team, whether you win or lose. Don't worry about making him squishy or whatever. But yeah, man, those speed up games felt solid, and
So what we're talking about is you're opening up with the cooldown increase from Afra, and then you just I'm assuming you're having him modded very quickly, just really fast, so he can get on out there, do some crit, and put the speed up.
Honestly, not necessarily. Like, it's not necessarily like a start of the match thing. It was just, effectively Afra versus Jabba is a race against his ult.
Mm-hmm.
And that consistent speed up just seemed to really kind of help keep us ahead. And it is... it is slightly colored by the Scoundrel Cron, the TM gain 6 to be sure. But if this is still going to continue to be a thing worth pursuing in 3v3 in the future, I do think that a crit chance modded IG90 is definitely going to be worth noting as a kind of secret weapon to help keep your team more active.
Now, let me pull him up here. What kind of crit chance are we talking?
I want to say he's like in the 60s or something.
72.5 physical base at Relic 9. I got him set up in tank mods, basically. I mean, it could
Yeah, I mean,
hard to find a good chance.
yeah, it's not like a 50% crippling amount chance, but just being mindful, especially if you're fighting R10 Cursans or anything with crit avoidance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fair. All right. That's something to think about. That one really wasn't on my radar. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a really subtle clause, but like, yeah, I think it could be high impact.
Yeah. All right. TJ, Sasha, you guys have been so patient here while we ran through this topic list. Any other matchups you wanted to highlight here in meta-analysis and/or favorite attack/defense?
I can do mine if Sasha wants to go next.
Go for it, man.
Favorite
You go
attack
ahead,
for
DJ.
me.
Thanks.
Favorite attack for me was actually finding a good use for my bounty hunters to not just throw them on defense like everybody else, like who were trying to do. They ended up becoming my saw chase killer for really clean 57s.
Okay.
Fight was super simple. It was moneymakers, in my opinion. So it felt like because everybody wanted to do the whole, we're going to put Cassian with the setup. So saw chase, everybody wanted to try to do Inquisitors. I saw a Jedi Master Mace was working, so I tried it, and then I fumbled it. It wasn't Jedi Master Mace's fault. And then I went and found the Dabbod team, and it works super quick. Like that team just gets ate up. So your Saw Chase is just sitting there. So that was like free 57 food, which felt pretty nice to use because I'm really high, and I think we're seeing it. I'm really high on Asajj, man. I love her. I think we're gonna have a lot more fun with the Django setup, and I expect to see it. But that was definitely one of my fan favorites. Um, one more really nominal, and I was nervous about going into was round 3. The surprise LV with the Wampacron in the back. Was not ready for that, and so I was looking at the Satio possibility. I went back with just good old Maz and playing through that with the Scoundrels basic turns reset. It still felt really good. Still got to do OG Hondo. Still got to do um, Smee and just beat the shit out of LV because it had me nervous. Right, these were properly set up R9s versus my setup, so didn't matter. Maz still came through trucking and killed it. Favorite defense was not mine. It was the one that cost me the match and where I was waiting for it. Where I will be scarred in infamy because of how I got left. The Wookiees, of all things, with Zalbar, took out my JML. Zalbar, he hit his AoE on my Cal, and these are fully protection, full health, full everything on both sides, dead, one shot. And I was left with a JML standing by himself. It was scarring to me. I had Treya, but
what was the Kron on
what's up?
that team? Was that the new one or something?
It was
else?
just the Zalbar. No. It was just some good stuff on the Zalbar Kron, so the purple set that's going away.
Oh, the old
And
Zalbar. Yeah.
yep, it blew out my team, man. Like I had never seen, and all of a sudden there's JML by himself, and he's not taking that out. So it ended up costing me the match, but I was okay with it. But also very scarred by something so cool as watching Zalbar just bop both characters from full health of protection. They hadn't done anything. They were just kind of taking a couple turns, and then there was nobody left.
All right.
So favorite defense was not mine, but one that cost me the match, which is why I said, again, that I had Treya, I had something to go in there, but I was looking to try to stay clean, and they cleaned my clock.
Oh, I appreciate it. Good one. Honorable mention. How about you, Sasha? Anything else you wanted to highlight meta matchup wise? A favorite attack or defense?
The ones that stick out for me are ones I kind of referenced before, but I did, I had the Django cron, so setting the Django OG Mando Asajj Dark Disciple was a favorite defense. I don't know what was used against it, but my opponent held a lot and one shot everything. So I'm optimistic that it drew a pretty heavy counter because I think the theory behind it is pretty solid. And on offense, I mean, the stuff that was more interesting for me was like, again, like the Partagas. I mentioned this previously, but the Partagas is really clean on offense against a Stormtrooper Luke
Yeah.
squad with Han and Leia. So that was one that it just worked really nicely. And then I mentioned that if you decide to go down the General Syndulla lead with Ezra, that GLA, like the Galactic Legend, Ahsoka on her own is just that nice 59 against EPDVD. And, in an efficiency match, I knew I would probably need something that was undersized, and to be able to do that for a 59 was impactful. So those are the ones I'd call out.
I appreciate it. Those are great. Yeah, I would throw in more if I had something to tell you guys, but I don't. So again, thank you, all three of you, for letting me live vicariously. That's it for meta analysis. Guys, let's take some viewer questions. It's you guys have been patiently sitting there in the chat. This is your moment. Get some questions in, and we'll get to them immediately. If it looks like the questions are drying up, move to the next segment, or do this for about a half hour, whichever comes. Silent Static says, "Hey Tass, did you win your bracket this week?" Yeah, I didn't lose. Well, no, I did lose because I did lose like 70 skill rating. I just didn't have any matches. So, yeah, for more information on that, see the announcement post on my Discord from last Tuesday. I was just gobsmacked. Let's see though. There was a question. Yeah. What about Django Lead with the new Kron and Jabba the Hutt? Any thoughts about combining those two teams, guys? No, no thoughts.
I know I saw a couple of the content creators talking about it. I think Vex talked about it too as one of the point of lowest hanging fruit, or want to call it, just because that Boba crime with the Java became like a fan favorite. Um, I think we have more tools in our shed, and the auto kill I think would take more if we're trying to do something cheeky with what Sasha was trying to do. Um, than just placing the job. I'm not going to say it's out because obviously getting contract and all that, but I think you can do a lot more fun things. Um, week one, again, I'll probably say I fully expect we're going to see, yeah, here goes your bounty hunters, and they're under the Django lead because we've only got so many slots to work in fives. Um, but I think the Django Crown's going to be one of the most fun ones that we work with, just because there's a lot of bounty hunters in the game, and I think there's a lot you get to do with that, getting those payouts broken up.
Fair, fair.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And the other thing I would just add is it is a bit of a bummer that Django is not at Cartel. Um, because then in fives, even if you think of it further with a bigger squad, and you throw Jabba in,
Yeah.
Chrysanthemum is really nice. And Chrysanthemum's taunt is really sticky because or when it is entirely Hut Cartel. So there's trade offs. It's an interesting twist, but yeah, it and great part for the reason TJ kind of described, just that sense of like I was interested in the Dark Disciple NOG Mando combo that I figured, oh well, I can have a separate Jabba squad. So that's why I didn't do it. But it's an interesting angle.
Fair. Fatal, anything you have to add on that thought? Django lead using Java?
I think it sounds bad. I'm sorry.
I don't think I'll be doing
You don't
it
have to
either.
apologize for thinking your thoughts, sir. I think you get to just be open with that's what you think.
I don't think I'll be doing it myself either. Because I feel the value, especially for week one, is I'm probably just going to stick that Django lead team bottom front and do something. Show me what you want to do. My guess is you're not going to want to deal with any of that damage in a meaningful sense. You're going to take like a high defense team, very survivable. Hell, you might even throw JMK just to make sure nothing crazy happens. You know, Balin, something of the like, anti instant defeat and the like.
I think people are forgetting the other parts that came to that DC. It wasn't just because it was Boba. The other factors with the doubt and the other application of other things were coming in because you were applying Zam. Zam had a really good setup for her part on the DC. It wasn't just the function of here's the team and I get to add Jabba. It was all of the pieces from that FDC for that Boba one were really strong when applied correctly.
All right, let's get the next question in. Yeah, Cypher Mango says, what is the minimum health and speed for Darth Bane? I have him at 129,000 health and 218 speed. Without knowing where in the game you are, it's kind of tough to say. My initial impression is if the health isn't low, the speed feels low. I try not to be under 250 speed with my Bane. A lot of people are not having a strong offense or high health secondary on a crit damage triangle. So a lot of people still run the health triangle, but yeah, I try here. This is Relic 10, and usually folks that have the 4 health primaries are just over 150,000. So trying to be as close to 150,000 while having the crit damage triangle was something I was working. At least 250 speed, and then I'm trying to work as much offense and health through secondaries onto this as possible. What do you guys have to say about Bane for functional minimums?
I mean, doesn't this question kind of depend on how you plan to use them? Because, like, for example,
Sure.
Like I ran into a fight this last week where my Bane was supposed to fight. It was like a stranger star killer that ran Malicos as the third instead of Maul. They put him on the Seer.
Yeah.
It's like I chose a defensive Datacron. I think my Bane was more defensive modded as well. I just hadn't really done a ton of Bane lead fights like this. Usually he's trying to take on some more dangerous stuff that's like more dangerous to him, but I lost because I just didn't do enough damage because Bane lead is often more of just like I lose the side and I go for the killing stroke. So like, yeah, you know, if you're doing like a C Bane type affair and you're like fighting at Ahsoka or something like that, your Bane might get checked more on survivability. If you're doing like a Bane lead, he might be more on the hook for being lethal. It might be sort of depends on the use case type answer.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you could specialize him to be better for certain matchups, but I found that kind of this setup is the all-rounder where I don't feel particularly disadvantaged by having him set up this way as opposed to whatever might be more finely tuned to better suit a particular matchup. So not to draw away from that, but it's I think that this health thing has been pretty great to me. And in the very early days, I did run the 4th health primary, but you know, Aesop Rock turned me on to the crit damage triangle fairly early on, and I've never regretted it. I'm sorry, TJ.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm pretty similar to yours. I stay 260. I like the number, so we're still right around the same speed check. Definitely 140,000, and then I have about a 10,000 physical. no crit damage, but that's still nice. But again, yours is more finely modded, where I'm trying to average out. But I felt everywhere I've needed to use them, being at this check, I felt successful. I don't really recall a time when that what I've given out has kind of failed me where I needed them, and that's him being by himself or under C.
Anything you have to add to this one, Sasha?
No, you guys have covered it.
Fair enough. Let's see. Next one. Hey, from Depressed Wampa. I'm so delighted to see this. As somebody coming back to the game, glad to see you're coming back, man. Good to hear that. Is Undercover Andor worth rushing his second pass, meta-wise? Rushing to pick up on his second availability.
Do you have
Maybe.
everything else? Because that's a tough
Well,
comparison.
the question is, I mean, the assumption I think that he's baked in is if I could throw the resources, the cash, whatever, to have Cassian in full on this next run of him, is that worth it right now? The other choice being, don't bother wailing for it. He's not that big of a deal. Slow roll it, get there when you get there.
I
I can't say from
I
personal experience.
I personally, I like his team, the kit as a whole. I like a lot of the mechanics of what he's doing. I think Fatal basically nails it on the head about the reliance of the FDC and then when it goes away. Um, but like I like the Bad Batch. So for me, I like everything that's going on with them. So personally, for me, if you're saying I have to choose between what's going on now, I'm going to go with what's going on now because I fully expect that's going to lead to a GL of where we're going to be at. So for that reliance, that's that. But as far as the team itself, I really like them, man. They do a lot of cool things that aren't being given the credit that they get to do.
Yeah.
Fair.
For me, it is my favorite team in the game at the moment. I think just mechanically, it is fucking fascinating. There are a lot of ways you can play it. There's a lot of really cool
Yeah.
choices that ask you to make. To be clear, I wasn't necessarily saying that they were FTC reliant. It was more so just that it felt like it would be stupid not to use the FTC while it's here. I do think they will have plenty of use after the FTC is gone, killing things like Ahsoka, Pirate King, Hondo, and so on. The answer I would give is from a fun perspective, I think they're dope. From a efficiency perspective, they aren't giving you anything that you can't get a hell of a lot cheaper for some Lightspeed tokens. So it's like, are you a huge Andor fan? Do you think the characters look dope? If you just really want them, then they're going farmable. Like we are very close to the last member of the squad for the light side going farmable, and then it'll be Partigaz and Dedra. Whether or not that's worth it for you is up to you. But yeah, I mean the squad. The one reassurance I could give you is if you just want to get them because you like them, I do think they have a bright future. Just expect that it's going to be more technical than a lot of other squads.
So there you go. If you're not intimidated by using something like the Fugitive Omega team on offense, some good depth in it. But I agree, it's a very complicated way right now to do effects that can do more overtly, bluntly by other teams. So yes, good. Probably like super hot fire rush. I can't say. I'm always reticent to take a hard stance on it when it's getting boosted by an FDC for the main meta team. Yeah, no problem, Depressed Wampa. Glad that helped. Yeah, and again, welcome. Good to see you're back in the game, man. Pop in Discord. But let's see. One. Silent Static says, what's the optimal Django team without Jabba? So we kind of hit on this earlier. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think in threes we were surmising Django, Asajj Dark Disciple, and OG Mando. And And then in fives, we haven't really said, and we'll talk about that more in the next episode, but just for the sake of interest, those same three. And then what? Tuckus Forlum, Boss Grief. Boss Grief would help drive more turn meter into the team by, the mass assists pumping through Mando unique. What say you guys?
I like that idea. I was thinking probably Forlom Zuckus. I just think those guys are pretty nasty. You add in
Yeah.
elements of foresight, like a really like pretty resilient tank. But either of those combos have appeal for sure.
You'd have
I
to
feel like-
slow
what were you
down
thinking?
though your Boss Grief, right? You'd have to make sure that your Mando was
Well,
going
here-
first, right?
It's also newness of the kits. I think there can be a bigger surprise, especially on a week one, if they're not watching out for what's going on with the Forlum Zuckus, and then the application of the debus that are applying with the Django lead that are going to hit into that. So I think there's a lot of fun mechanics because the bounty hunter team is so big. There's a lot of variety that you get to do where if you check the turn order of one certain thing and that messes with the whole fight that you're used to, could be a win on match one and then your complete fail on match two.
Sure. All right. Yeah, Ray Rock, he points out you can get more health on Bane with the stats on your Datacron. That's what I do with my Relegate Bane and go against Ahsoka's. Yeah, certainly, that's something to always have in mind with the way that you're using Bane is make sure that however the Datacrons change season over season, you do have an explicit Bane Cron lined up, whether you want to go the high health angle, the high armor penetration angle, somewhere in between. Um, Explicitly plan for that every time you got a new Datacron set because if you were using Wampacron all this time for whatever reason, the good times just ended for you. You need another plan. Okay. Next question. Yeah, this one we're probably not going to be able to help you with, Cypher Mangoes. Hopefully somebody in the chat can give a better answer. But feel free to correct me if you guys something help this guy. My next question is, what is the best lineup for Executor at 4 stars? I am 5 months away from Executor, but looking to dwindle it down to 3, and I want to get maximum value out of the team. My punishing one is fully complete, too. I would say best lineup for Executor at 4 stars. Depends. Assuming that the attitude of this question is for defense, because of course your lineup would vary depending on who you're attacking. So do any of the three of you have something to offer on that, or can somebody in the chat give us something of use?
I hate to say it's going to be where you're at in the game and then where you're at with the characters towards maybe one of the GLs because whatever is going to happen, it based on relics and star count for your characters based off your ships. So if you're going to look at it and your boss is in a higher setup, you should definitely focus on the tank version. Um, Punishing one is absolutely the top notch setup for that as the second. So be it the triple attacker, your Cad Bane is up there because of where you're at with one of the GLs, or your Bosk. That's going to go here nor there.
Yeah, I think all of us here probably had Executor 7 stars on the first run.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that not the case
Yeah.
for any of us here?
No.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, nobody's gonna try and bullshit you and lie to you here on this stream. I mean, I can't tell you. I never tried to work with it at 4 stars.
I think it just goes to it. The punishing one is an absolute. Bam is an absolute. So that setup, those two are keys. It's just going to be who's in that third slot, and that's usually going to be Xanadu Blood with Cad,
Yeah.
or you're doing Bosk. Those are your options, and that's how I would look at it.
Depending on who you're trying to resist. And I don't know. That's the reason I hesitate to say anything is I don't know what
Right.
angles there are to work around you being 4 star. I know that at lower stars, the different turn orders of certain ships can be exploited in a way that does not exist at 7 stars. So I really couldn't say, man. Right. Next question here from Silent Static. Are you guys planning on using the Ventress, with the Kron, with your Seer team? So that new Asajj Ventress, let me pull that up on screen. I just put out an
Oh,
infographic today with the Lost Womp Rat, and I'll just pull it up on screen here real quick. But see it on my Discord if you haven't already. It's in the announcements channel. These are some recommendations from us. Yeah, since I was thinking when he and I were working on this, that you've only got one Old Republic team. So if you had to pick one, which one would you pick, Satele or Bastila? I went Satele, but if you were here early in the show, Fatal gave a pretty good argument for running with the Bastila instead. I do plan to have both, but that's maybe the only thing I guess I wish was included here. Anyways, this Asajj team is shown more or less as a gimmick, in my opinion, because the best crons for Malicos historically are dark side buffs up, offensive buffs up level 3. Having a faster teammate, call him, have him buff himself up like that, have a good amount of armor penetration on the stat for your cron, and then him just unleashing that first set of rocks is typically lethal. It is just usually enough. So maybe when that's gone, yes, because that is going to be kind of hilarious, her getting a bonus turn every time an enemy takes a turn, right? So lots of opportunity to call Malicos to assist. You can see an obvious kind of hilarious play pattern emerging from that. Have high crit damage on the Kron, I guess, and hold on to it until the dark side offensive buffs are gone. Kind of what I'm thinking. How about the rest of you guys?
The thing I would point out to people and remind them of is Asajj on defense does not like to use her AoE unless the AI thinks it can be a kill shot, which means she is effectively use the heal, basic, use the heal, basic on defense. So that might be what you're hoping for. She's kind of like a IPD bonus turn or a B2 sort of effect. I think like the power of this might lean more towards like a Marin situation or something. I don't know. It's not a bad thing, but I'm not like burning down the barn for it, especially in 3v3. If you're not using it with Marin, I think you run into slot efficiency issues.
Yeah, in 3 versus 3, I don't really have a vision. But honestly, that's why I kind of, agreed with labeling it as a gimmick. It's cool. It reads cool on paper, but when you think about how you're actually using it, it's kind of, if you get it, it's nice. If you happen to run across it, I wouldn't be in a hurry to, break down that data cron. But outside of that, I wouldn't be making a deliberate effort to go for it.
the
Guys,
only reason I think that
please.
the positive part is just the bonus turn. Bonus turn has always generally been strong on any nature, and I would agree. AI is not going to play it right. I think everybody's always wanted her to do her AOE whenever possible, and that just was not the case. It was trying to target stability versus offense, and that's always the downside. But I still think it'll be a lot of fun, but definitely not going to put it above like the Satele or the Sortie or even the Django.
Yep.
Other comments on this one, gentlemen? Okay. We're caught up with questions. So guys, we'll give you another few seconds to get any last questions in, and then we'll probably get ready to do takeaways and final thoughts. Any questions that are on you guys' minds while we're kind of caught here for a few seconds? Really, I've been just a madman.
I would think. I guess mine will be for more the next season of watching if what Fatal might get to do with that tanks and then the AOE armor shred applying and all that. That Zalbar 9 looks like a lot of fun for some Wookiee action, man.
Yeah, but I think I
Well,
remember seeing Fatal on his server. Didn't I see you say in the comments somebody you think that Zalbar, the new Zalbar level 9 is kind of underwhelming, kind of crap?
if you want to run the Wookiees and you want to give them a Datagron, you give them a defense Datagron. If you don't have a defense Datagron, you give them a crit damage Datagron. I don't even remember what the Zalbar 9 gives because I read it once and that shit left my brain immediately. I think it was like slightly better than the last one, which actively made your team worse. Yeah, at the start of his turn, he gives taunt for 1 turn to all tank allies.
Yeah.
That's like a 25% defense boost. Or you could just run a defense Datacron and get this effect off like a bunch of times. The biggest thing that I have found as a Wookiee player is cooldown increase effects are a huge problem. I mean, the immune to stun is like kind of helpful, and maybe there are some matchups where that's enough. But more often than not, these days, teams are increasing the cooldown. So even if you like finally get to the fabled turn, you just don't get to do the spirit bomb. So like if this was like tank allies cannot have their cooldowns increased and stun while he is active, then I would probably be a lot more positive on it. But as is, I think you just have to choose your matchups correctly, or like maybe just get a bunch of crit damage and plop this in one where his cooldowns won't get increased, but the stun immunity feels nice. Yeah, it's the biggest thing I can caution to people, because I don't think there are many Wookiee owners at the moment. This team, more than any other, is like 99% pre-planning and 1% execution. Like you just have to cross off your T's and dot your I's and be sure that like, yep, I'm gonna be able to hit my combo. They don't have anything at all that can grief my Zalbar. They don't have too much turn meter removal. They don't have too much speed down. You know, the porridge has to be just right
Do you
for it to
have
work.
a
And if it
short
does,
guide written up on that somewhere? You got an infographic or something of the like on preparing your Wookiees properly? Because I think you're one of the only, if not the only one, really trying to pioneer that in any, upwardly mobile direction, like punching up with that team.
no, and frankly, I am working on written guides at the moment. I'm willing to say, the book is not going to be a priority because they are so finicky. I think there are more practical teams that, like I said, my win rate with my Wookiees is more miss than hit because of the stuff that I'm talking about. Maybe they could be shooting cheaper game and I'm just aiming too high. I don't think it's necessarily aiming too high. It's just, again, like,
Good.
There's just a lot of landmines you can step on.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you get bit. It's a shame. Dagger just showed up in the chat. Thank you for being resubscribed for 41 months. Thank you so much. Swugga Player just he's been watching for 3 consecutive streams. A question from him: have you thought of starting a new free to play to give you a challenge in GAC? I feel that that's very much directed at me. No, I really can't. Like, I just don't have the time. I really do not have the time. I'm behind on making content that I want to make. I have coaching clients these days. I still have the podcast. My wife's about to go to Italy on a business trip for the next week, and I'm going to be, full-time Mr. Dad here for a very attention, needing child. So I just don't see it fitting in. And also, even if I had the time and the opportunity, I really just have the interest. The thing that I love about my account is, having grown with it, is I like doing the things that this account demands now, which is very different from what I was needing to focus on 4 years ago, 6 years ago, stuff like that. And I just like this. I like where I'm at. It never really occurs to me to step back and start over. I just don't think I'd enjoy it. How about you guys? Any ambition for a new account at some point?
Zero.
Yeah, never.
I get the idea, like maybe 6 times a year. and it always stops the moment that it's so easy to get caught up in like, oh yeah, it's easy to romanticize until you think about, hey, you want to do 2 conquests? Hey, you want to do 2 raids? Hey, you want to do 2 TBs? No, not really. Actually,
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Forbidden.
Oh yeah, absolutely fucking not. Unless my guild let my alt sit at the bottom of the guild to get free rewards, and then I would start an alt.
Well, glad you could make it.
If there was yeah, hello. No, I was just gonna say, if there was some way to run 2 PC clients at once, because I have actually run 2 accounts at once, and when it was on BlueStacks and I could have them open side by side, I will say it was not the worst experience to do 2 conquests at once. 2 conquests at the exact same time at the exact same pace basically felt like one. But the moment that the PC client came out and I had one on Conquest that was laggy and slow as shit and the PC client was flying, it was done. It was cooked. I could not continue.
Yeah.
It became 2 conquests. The illusion shattered.
I did Conquest on 2 accounts. I had a main and an alt up until Datacrons came out. I did Conquest on 2 accounts because it took like 2 days. So you did it on like you got Conquest done in like the first 3 days on the main account, and then the alt account you just did it like the next week. You just kind of, like Fatal said, like, yeah, if they could figure out a way to make the PC client work, I think more people would probably have alts, but
yeah,
that's
fair. All right, and then I guess this last bit of a joke question here, just to Fatal is the JMK and C3PO team coming back this season?
Yeah, there's one small wrinkle at the moment where it's like, if I run 1/5, it appears like it might be good against one squad. If I run another 5th, then it appears alternative. But yeah, no, for sure, it's definitely a point of curiosity. I don't know. The Datacron meta will be different, so I'll have to make sure like whether or not certain teams are going to be occupied elsewhere, or whether certain predators are showing up that from Datacrons showing up or expiring. I'll have to do that due diligence. But yeah, man, I had a lot of fun last 5v5, and definitely looking to continue it.
I will say that when that question was first asked, my knee jerk was, "But what are you going to do with your CLS without C3PO?" And then my brain was like, "Oh,
no punished, never punished."
I miss that team, man. Of all the teams that aren't viable today, that's the one I miss the most.
I will say, CLS in 3v3 still dwells in the wings. I have used him this last season. I don't think it was all successes, but my hit rate with CLS is actually I'll G-check myself. I'm pulling up Insight. Let's see what for like the last X seasons.
I'm pretty sure he still smacks around Enoch, so that's still a decent use for him.
Enoch is a classic, but I want to say he's had even more than that. Let's see. I'll do
I'm just trying to see where I've used him recently in 3s. I'm sure he does other stuff.
In the last 8 seasons, I have 27 CLS battles, a 66% total win rate. Hunting targets include Maz, Scion of Django, plus Asajj, Enoch, as mentioned. Yeah. There are targets. Qui-Gon, for those of you who do not know and are still seeing Qui-Gon's in defense as well. If you are interested in using CLS, ironically, the fundamentals from like 5 years ago still hold pretty true. The team feels excellent if you give them, a robust foundation of speed, but focus on defense, protection, some tenacity, and some crit avoidance. Classically, I used to call it the bruiser builds. You give that to CLS and you give that to Chupio, and you let the exposed do all of your damage output, and you just have a very... And also, never switch it to CLS offense stance. These are ancient scrolls. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Bring forth the papyri.
it still feels like when it hits, man, it still just feels good. Like there's a reason why I'm exploring CLS under land. That's just because defense stance CLS is just such an active unit.
Yeah.
There still aren't really many people who do what he does.
Real engine.
I was gonna say, like, even at the end of CLS's relevance,